Air traffic has risen sharply in recent years, and the impact of aviation on climate change is causing increasing concern.
Emissions are rising by 4 to 5% year on year, and that is what we are seeing right now. And if year on year you have 4 to 5% growth of emissions, that means in 15 years a doubling.
For the European Commission, it's urgent to act, since aviation, unlike other means of transport, is not taxed on fuel. So there's little incentive for it to cut its CO2 emissions.
We cannot continue to be successful in one sector and to neutralize that positive result by developments in other sectors. And aviation is one of the most striking examples.
The European Commissioner for the Environment wants to see aviation take on its share of the effort to combat climate change. The Commission is therefore proposing to include air transport in the CO2 emissions trading scheme the European Union has pioneered as a means of meeting the Kyoto Protocol objectives.
In order to tackle this problem in the most cost-efficient way, we need to include aviation emissions into our highly successful emissions trading scheme.
The European Commission sees the emissions trading scheme as the most cost-effective way to control aviation emissions, less expensive than a tax on fuel, for instance. Being in the scheme will push the aviation sector into a new way of thinking that gives as much attention to its environmental performance as to its economic efficiency. Bringing the aviation sector into Europe's emissions trading scheme is expected to lead to big savings in CO2 emissions from aircraft. By 2020, these savings could be 180 million tons annually, twice the level of greenhouse gases Austria emits each year. With this measure, Europe is taking another vital step towards preventing a global climate disaster.
As aircraft plough through the upper atmosphere above 26,000 feet, they often leave bright white trails behind them. These long white tails, called contrails, are caused by the water and soot from the aircraft's jet engines. As the hot water and dirt comes out of the engine, it hits the air that it's about minus 40 degrees. It's an explosive reaction. Natural cirrus cloud sits at about 26,000 feet and reflects some of the sun's rays away back into space, having a cooling effect on the Earth beneath. When a condensation trail disperses, it turns into a form of cirrus called contrail cirrus. More reflective than natural cirrus, it can spread over an area as big as 60,000 miles. Now, more and more scientists have suggested that this contrail cirrus is affecting the temperature of the planet. After the 9/11 attacks in New York in 2001, they were given an opportunity to check this theory. Aircraft across the United States were grounded for 3 whole days, so that's no contrails for 3 days. And after all the data was analysed, there was an increase in temperature. A very slight increase, but an increase all the same. Now that suggests that contrails cool the planet.
The implications of the footage that we have just seen appear to be contradictory. On the one hand, we have a description of European Union policy of providing financial incentives to encourage airlines to reduce emissions to slow global warming. Then we have the BBC documentary, which suggests that it would be good for airlines to increase emissions so as to spread contrail cirrus and slow global warming by having not fewer but more aircraft in the sky. So, what are we to make of this?